Hello everyone. So I'm here because today it's 12th of February and the Women's Prize for Nonfiction list was announced. And I have already looked at the books and I have decided what I want to read and what I might read or might not read. I have a video on that that you can go watch. But for now, important to know that Sister-in-Law I'm gonna read. What the Wild Sea Can Be I am going to read, and probably Private Revolution I'm gonna read at least, and then I'm also going to read the shortlist whenever that is announced. I think it's April or something like that. Anyway, I have already started What the Wild Sea Can Be. I'm reading this one in audio and I am about an hour or two in. And so far it's going through the evolution of life in the ocean. So about how fish evolve and then how those animals went out of the ocean and then went back in the ocean and the reasons for that. So far it's not a lot of new information. It's also quite already talking about climate change and things like that. So sometimes it feels like, nature books nowadays are always about a certain topic. They explain the topic and then the last chapter is kind of like, and we have to save it because we are messing everything up. But this book kind of feels like that last chapter from the beginning. So we will see how it goes. I'm okay with it so far. Nothing amazing, nothing terrible. So yeah, we will see how I go with it. But that's what I'm currently reading. As I said, it's the 12th of February, and I have pre-ordered the paperback of Sister-in-Law, so I am not going to read that one until that comes mid-March. And before that, I might read the Chinese book because that one is in my library. I might put a hold on it and just get that reading done as well. And those are the three that I'm currently playing with. The other ones that I might read in between in February, basically, it's Why Fish Don't Exist, By the Fire We Carry, and Tracker, because those three are also in Everand, and I have Everand until the end of February. However, we know Everand says that it's unlimited, but it's not really. So we will see how much of that I am actually able to read, depending on whenever Everand cuts the books I can read. So that's the current situation about my reading, and yeah, I'll update you when I have more to say. Hello everyone, it's a few days later, it's Saturday now. I just put Alex down for her nap. And I just wanted to update you a little bit on my Women's Prize for Nonfiction reading. I have been reading What the Ocean Could Be or listening to it, and I'm finding it okay. I think it's going through different life forms on the ocean and kind of explaining their probability that they will survive climate change and why. Like, some of them are more adaptable than others, and exactly what we are doing when we, like, the different changes of the ocean, how they affect all of these creatures. And it also involves a little bit of evolutionary theory, because that has a lot to say about what we can expect in these changing conditions. And so far, I think the message is really good, but I'm not finding it particularly special in any way. But I'm not disliking it either. I'm just listening through it and enjoying what I'm reading, but I don't think it's like a book that is going to change my life. So far, I'm about 35% of the way in. I have also started Why Fish Don't Exist. Is that the title? Yeah. I have also just read like 10% of that. It has illustrations, very beautiful illustrations. And someone in my comments of the long list video said that they will compare this to A Ghost in the Throat, which I didn't like. I thought I was really going to like, and then I read it, and it was just like this woman that was very privileged and complaining about her privilege, and then the structure didn't make a lot of sense to me. It was very messy. I just didn't like it. I can see the comparison, because it's about a woman kind of obsessed about something, but I think this one is better written. I think the structure makes a little bit more sense so far, and it's not so memory of a privileged woman kind of thing, so I am enjoying this one. I think also so far there's nothing like mind-blowing to me, but I'm enjoying it. I'm only 10% of the way in, so we will see how I think later. And I also went to the library today and I picked up Private Revolutions by Yuan Yang, coming of age in a new China, and then the Sunday Times blurb says a portrait of the country through 4 women who refuse to accept the life laid out for them, which that sounds quite appealing to me. So I'm more and more interested in this the more I read about it, so that's good. So I think this one, once I finish my current physical read, which it has nothing to do with this video, I will probably pick this one up, so probably next week sometime. So yeah, those are my updates in my reading. So far it's going well, I think. Also, Everand hasn't banned me from the books I'm interested in yet, so I might be able to read something more from there. We will see. But so far, yeah, those 2 books that I'm reading, Neverland and this one, are my priority at the moment. And then when Sister-in-Law comes, I will also pick that one up. And then after that, I'm not sure I'm going to pick anything else up, at least until the shortlist is announced, because the other books I'm interested in are mostly in hardback and the paperbacks are not coming out until September. So I think I'm going to wait it out. Hello everyone, it is Wednesday morning. I'm about to wake up Alex and get our day started, but I thought I will update you because there has been some updates. So yesterday I finished Why Fish Don't Exist, and I understand why this is such a popular book. I think it's very well written. Someone in my comments compared it to A Ghost in the Throat, and I really did not like that one. Because of how entitled the person felt, and also how disjointed it felt. And I think this one is a much better example of this memoir combined with a non-fiction factual stuff. However, I was not super interested in the person that we were following, like the scientist that was into fish, and the discussion of this metaphysical concept of, fish don't exist, because it's not really the final concept is that fish don't exist because fish is such a broad term that it doesn't really encompass as a group of individuals with the same characteristics. They're so different, some fish to others, that you cannot really say that they're all fish because they have nothing in common. That was kind of like the idea. And yeah, I was not that interested in like these very nitpicky definitions and stuff like that. It's just not my thing, but I understand why other people like it, and I think it's very well written. So there's that. I'm also about halfway through what the wild ocean can be. That title always trips me, but I'm liking it. I think it's doing a good job at going through the life in the ocean and how it's been affected by humans. And I like that at the end of each chapter it has a section of like, what can we do? We can do nothing, we can do this, we can do that. I think that's interesting. However, I think it's also not having a massive effect on me so far. I don't think the things that she's saying are widely like different from anything I have read, and the structure is also not like wildly different, so it's fine so far. And then also yesterday I started Private Revolutions by Yuan Yang. I'm only like 20 pages in, but I have read the prologue and the first chapter, and I'm really liking the writing style of this. I think it's very engaging and readable. I want to know more about these women. It almost reads like a novel, so that's always good. And we are following women that were born around the 90s, I think, and this this idea that a lot of people from villages, the parents went to the city and the children stayed back with their grandparents, and they grew up that way, and then they had to go back and forth, and because of the Chinese regulations they had to go back and forth to be able to study, because they are only eligible to study and do the university exams in the province that they were born into, and so they cannot just go to the city and do the exams there. They have to go back to do the exams where they were born, stuff like that, and how the family dynamics work. As far as I've read, that's what this is about, and it's been quite interesting so far. I think there's a lot of things about Chinese culture and Chinese government's policies that I don't know about, but this is looking about at the post-revolution China and the effects of different things, like the capital is China. So yeah, I'm really liking this so far. And I will continue to read it. It's not super long, it's less than 300 pages, so I'm hoping to finish it early, like in a few days. So yeah, those are the books I'm reading for this price. I'm enjoying everything, but nothing is like amazing so far. So that is the feel that I have for it. It seems that also Everand has taken Tracker out of my possibilities, which is fine because it was a 800-page book, and I don't like to read super long books on ebook anyway. I just don't grasp concepts as well when I read in ebook. So and also the writing is not the easiest, so I think I'm happy with that being off my Everand, and maybe I will read it if it makes it to the shortlist, which I think it probably would, because Alexis Wright is a very rewarded and known author, so I think it might make it to the shortlist, and then I will read it then, or I will attempt to read it then at least. I DNF'd her other book, so we will see. But I still have By the Fire We Carry, and it doesn't seem it's gonna go away before I am able to read it. So I think that one will be my next one once I finish these two, and then Sister-in-Law, and I think that's gonna be it until the shortlist is announced. it's still Wednesday, it's in the evening now, it's 9 p.m. and I wanted to update you because I was working in the lab a lot today, which means that I had time to listen to an audiobook while I was doing things, and I finished What the Wild Sea Can Be. And I liked it. I think it was very well written. I think that there were some nice facts there, and some good ideas. I think I liked particularly the way that she approached the what we can do side of things about the sea, especially in one of the last chapters. She expressly mentioned how privilege it is to be able to be sustainable, because it needs a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money. Location wise, it might be a challenge as well. All those things, and she acknowledges that and says, well, every little bit that we can do, it's good, and we should celebrate that we are able to buy one single thing without plastic, for example. And yeah, as I said, I liked it. I think it had some good information. It did feel a little bit generic at times. Just one more voice into the ocean of voices of we are messing up the planet, we should do something about it. And it was a very eloquent one, but it didn't do anything new either. So yeah, I liked it, but I don't even think it was like super special. I'm glad I read it. And I also made some progress in Private Revolutions. I am 90 pages in now, so about a third of the way through. And I am really liking the storytelling on this. It follows 4 women from when they were children until I don't know when, probably like right now. And the way that their lives were difficult, and it's divided in 4 parts, the book, and I thought it was going to be a part for each of the women, but it's not the case. So I'm liking the writing and the stories, and I think the information is super powerful, but the structure is a little bit messy for me, because I thought, as I said, the stories were going to be divided, like part 1 will be one person, part 2 another person, but it's more divided in like topics, if you want. So in the first part we follow 2 of the women, well, 2 or 3, I think 3, I don't know how many, but a couple of the women, different alternating chapters for each of them, because they both grew up in the countryside, with their grandparents when their parents were working elsewhere, and then they had to move back and go through the university exams, and now I'm in part 2, and they are following more people, because that follows like the college side of things, getting to university and the first years in university, stuff like that. And so there are some women that grew up in the city, so the first part was not applicable to them, but now the university part is applicable to them. So it's kind of divided in that way. And I'm finding that a little bit jarring at times and messy, and I feel like I'm losing track of who is who and the stories of each of them. Like I have to remind myself every time there's a new chapter, oh, this is this person that had this past. So I'm not the biggest fan of that, but other than that, I'm really liking the stories and I'm really liking the narration. It is also crazy to me that these women were born in like the 80s and 90s, so they are about my age, like maybe a couple of years younger, a couple of years older, depends, but they are about my age, and they talk about how many of their colleagues in school, they left primary school and went to work in a factory in the 2010s, in the 2000s. And of course I knew logically that happens, because I have heard about the sweatshops in China and other Asian countries, but it's just different to read it from this perspective and put dates on it. Like, yeah, in 2015 there were still people doing these things and dying in these sweatshops and working in these conditions. I think that's a very powerful way to tell the story, that makes people realize that these are actual real people like us and like the same age as us. It's not something that happened 50 years ago or 100 years ago. It happens like right now to people of our age. Um, so yeah, that was particularly shocking for me when I was reading this. Just realizing that thing that obviously I knew rationally, but I had not emotionally made that connection. So yeah, I'm enjoying this. I think, as I said, it's around 9 p.m. So I'm going to keep reading for a little bit. I think I have 30 pages left of this part. So I would like to finish this part. I'm also I have my laptop here because as I said, I was in the lab a lot today and I still have some processors running, so I'm just making sure that they're still running. I'm not going to be monitoring them the whole night, but I want to just for a bit longer so that at least I know that half of the things I need to do will be done tomorrow morning. So yeah, that's where I'm at, and I'm hoping that this continues to be good, and I keep track of everyone and who is who and what they did and how their lives were. But yeah, I'll update you probably when I finish this, I think. Hello, so it's Saturday afternoon. Alex is sleeping. We are supposed to leave in about half an hour. I don't know how much she's gonna like me waking her up, but we'll see when that comes. But I wanted to update you because I finished Private Revolutions by Yuan Yang. I was hoping to finish this yesterday night, but I ended up falling asleep in my book, so I finished it today. And I really liked it. I really liked the storytelling, the writing. The stories are very well told, and I think they are also very important. I think it gives a lot of humanity and a lot of depth to some of the things we know but we don't think too much about, like how things are produced in China and stuff like that. And it follows mostly 4 women and their different stories. The only thing that I didn't like about this book is the structure, because it's structured in 4 parts, but they are not the 4 stories of these women. It's more like, yeah, childhood, like coming of age, university, and not all the women are present in the same amount in the book. So it was a little bit difficult to keep everyone straight. I think the easiest for me were Shijua, because she had a little bit of a different path. She went into learning English and opening her own education, and she was very into education and parenting practices and things like that, and trying to break the cycle of putting so much pressure on the children to get good marks, to get to a good university, all of these things. And that was particularly interesting for me to read. And then there was also Sam, who had a little bit more of a different story, because she was born in the city and she had a relatively privileged life, in the sense that her parents were not struggling too much. She had enough money to go to university. She was already registered in the city, so she didn't have to deal with all of these policies that try to force people to send their children back home, so that they can do their exams and stuff and they're valid. So she had a little bit also of a different thing, and then she went into the NGO work and eventually got involved in some of the student protests. So it was more of like activist perspective of it. But the other 2, they both kind of work very long hours in these very not satisfying jobs, and they did things to improve their communities, and I think that was still interesting to read. But they did blend with each other quite a lot, to be honest, because they were doing very similar things. So in that sense, I would have liked those 2 people to read their story from the beginning to the end, and that might have been better for me to follow their stories and their nuances of their stories. It could also have been that if was the way that this was structured, I might have found it more repetitive because it was like the same thing coming up over and over again. I don't know. But yeah, that was the only criticism I had about this, is that the structure, I'm not sure it worked as well as it could have. But other than that, I really enjoyed the writing and the story, and I think it might be one that doesn't win, but it makes it to the shortlist. I think it's a possibility. And then also yesterday, because I spent a lot of time in the lab yesterday, I started the audiobook of By the Fire We Carry, by Rebecca Nagle, which is about Native Americans. And I am finding that one, I'm enjoying it when I'm reading it, but it feels very anecdotal so far. Like it doesn't seem to have like a bigger point as much. At least from what I have heard, it's more just like individual stories, and it does do this very annoying thing that American books do, that they assume that their history is everyone's history. And so we are supposed to be familiar with things that I'm not familiar with. This book does that a little bit, like they assume that we are supposed to be familiar with certain events related to Native American life, and kind of, if you don't know, it's because you don't care about Native Americans, and it's more like, well, I don't know that because I'm not American. I do care about the native part of it, but you know, there is other countries and other histories that are, I guess, equally important. So that I find a bit annoying. But yeah, so far it's okay. Nothing dramatically amazing, but also I will continue listening to it. Yeah, so that's my update. As I said, it's Saturday. I do have to go into the lab tomorrow probably, because some of the things that I was doing in the lab didn't go as expected. But I don't know, I'm waiting for someone to check one of the pumps in one of the equipment, because if that doesn't work, then there is no point for me to go tomorrow to the lab. But if that is working, I probably will have to work a little bit tomorrow. It has been very busy. It has been a very busy week, and I'm very tired. But I'm trying to rise above it, and just, it will be done soon. We went to music class this morning with Alex, and we are going to go to a museum with some friends in the afternoon. The Hague has this very nice children literature museum, and they have, for the smaller ones, they have a room of, they have several rooms, and each of them is like themed around a different book character. So you have, I think in English it's called Miffy, the rabbit, white rabbit thing. Here is called Nijntje, and it's a Dutch cartoon, so I guess it's called Nijntje. And they have one for Kikker, which is a frog, which is another very famous Dutch character. Yeah, they have different things like that, and we have gone many times, and they enjoy it. It's almost like a theme park for them, and it's nice because it's raining, so I think they will enjoy that. And as I said, tomorrow I might have to go to work for a few hours. We probably will also go to the park or something like that, and I'll let you know how I got along with that audiobook. Hello everyone. So it's Thursday afternoon. Alex just have gone down for a nap, but I want to update you because yesterday I finished The Fire We Carry, and that was my audiobook. I did spend a lot of time in the lab yesterday. It has been a crazily busy couple of weeks, but yeah, I finished the book, and that was about the Native Americans and how specifically the law has messed up with them and with their rights to the land, and how the fact that the reservations are not currently under like normal American law has been used for them to lose their lands, and all of the different ways that land has been taken away from them, and all the difficulties that has been going on about the status as a country of the Native American people. And there were parts that were very interesting and very, very harrowing, and I'm glad that the book exists and I'm glad that I read it. But sometimes it also went into a very much legal like framework, and if you don't have a legal background and if you don't know the American law, you can get really, really lost on it. And there was a lot of names that were named about justices and stuff like that, I mean, you might or might not know. I knew some of them, I didn't know some of them, but I think, as I said at the beginning, that is a little bit the thing that you come across in some American nonfiction, that they assume that everyone has that background and they know their laws and they know the people that are important in their justice system and in their like political systems, and that's not always the case. So yeah, I found it very powerful at times and very sloggy at times, and I also think that even though the like topic is very important, and I'm glad that this book exists, form-wise it also didn't do anything like particularly amazing or special. So yeah, as I said, I'm glad I read it. I wouldn't put it in my shortlist, but yeah, I'm glad I read it. So yeah, that's that for now. I think the next book I'm going to read, Sister-in-Law, comes out next week in paperback, and I have pre-ordered the paperback, so as soon as that is here I will let you know, and I'll read it and let you know what I think about it.
Hello everyone, so it's Friday afternoon, it's the 14th of March, and I'm not feeling fantastic. I have a headache and I'm super tired, but I thought I will update you because in a very twisty turn of events, I haven't received my copy of Sister-in-Law yet. It has been 8 days since it was released. It was 10 days since I got the notification that it was shipping. But yeah, they haven't, it hasn't arrived yet. I don't know why, but I found this second hand at a reasonable price, and I decided to get it, The Story of a Heart, which was another one that I was interested in, but I thought I would wait for the paperback, and then I saw this second hand and grabbed it, and it arrived today. So it arrived before Sister-in-Law, which is funny to me. But yeah, I have actually started the prologue, the first 10 pages or so, and I like the writing style. We will see how I go with it. So far it seems to be quite nuanced about transplants, about the fact that obviously the people that get the organs are very happy about it, but at the same time they know that they are allowed to live because someone else has died, and preferably someone young and healthy has died. That's why they get an organ, because normally organs of sick old people don't get transplanted. So the morality of that, and like the tightness of such a thing, and I think it's also going to go a bit into the science. The author, Rachel Clarke, is a physician, that works mostly in palliative care, so the people that are actually dying. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. It's also not super long, and I mean the font is pretty big, so I think I'm hoping I might finish it this weekend. But the other news is that, because I don't know when Sister-in-Law is going to come, if it comes, or if I have to ask for another copy because mine got lost in the mail, I don't know. But I think because this vlog has been running for so long and I want to get it out, and it's also like a very long vlog in general, whenever I finish this, if Sister-in-Law has not arrived, I'm just going to leave it at that. And I'll give you a little bit of a prediction of what I think is gonna make the shortlist at the end. So hopefully this goes before the shortlist is announced, and we can all see how wrong I will be. But yeah, I'm going to start reading this properly. I think this is my weekend plan, and hopefully by Monday latest, Sister-in-Law is here. And I will update you more when I read more of this.
Hello everyone. So it is Monday morning at like 6 in the morning, and I wanted to update you because yesterday I finished The Story of a Heart by Rachel Clarke, and I really enjoyed it. So this is the story of heart transplants in general, and it's structured in a way that it follows these two kids, Keira and Max. And Max has been sick with a heart condition for a really long time, like 6-7 months in the hospital. And Keira has a car accident and she becomes brain dead, and then after that they ask the family if they want to donate the organs, and so that heart goes to Max. That is kind of the basics of that story, but what she does is that she uses that story to discuss the nuances of heart transplants, all the emotions of like how affects the families, but also the doctors. There's a lot of focus on the doctors and the nurses here and the job they do and the observations they have made in their career. And also there are points in which we get a history of medicine and heart transplants and other things, like the development of the current immunodepressants that are used, and the like lung heart machines that they use for hearts, open heart surgery, the history of transplants themselves, lots of things like that. And I found it like super emotional. I was crying for about half of the book because obviously you don't want to read about kids dying and kids being so sick, but at the same time I did find some parts a bit jarring because you are in this super emotional heightened state, and then she starts talking about the history of how it was invented, like the lung heart machines and all the technical issues that they had doing that, which was a bit like, yeah, I don't know, a huge disconnect between the two things. And I do think that it was good that those parts existed in this book, because I think it added depth and it was not just one emotional tearjerker kind of thing. There was more depth to it than that. But yeah, the change was a bit jarring sometimes. So it's not a perfect book, but it was a very good book. I think it was very valuable for me to have read it, and I'm happy that I read it. So yeah, this one, I mean, it's still not my favorite on the list, but it's one of my favorites, I think, from what I have read. So yeah, as I said, it's Monday morning. Sister-in-Law is still not here. Obviously, I read that on the weekend, so and I read this pretty much in 2 days, so that tells you how good it was. But yeah, Sister-in-Law is not here. I don't know when it's going to be here. I'm also feeling kind of sick, and I want to post this by Sunday, so I have a week to finish this vlog, and I'm not sure how realistic that is. So I think what I'm going to do is just stop here, and hopefully Sister-in-Law makes it to the shortlist, and then I can make another vlog reading the shortlist. I think that's my hope. Now, which let's discuss what I think is going to be in the shortlist of the prize, or what I'm hoping it's in the shortlist of the prize. So from the things I've read, I think that The Story of a Heart will make it, just because it's it packs a punch, and I don't think it's a winner material, but I think it can definitely make it to the shortlist. I think Private Revolution should make it. It was great. And I think Why Fish Don't Exist probably going to make it. I didn't enjoy that one massively, but I have seen a lot of people who says it's their favorite book of all the things they've read. So yeah, I think that that one is also going to make it. And then I don't think What the Wild Sea Can Be is going to make it, just because it's one of those books that you're reading and it's like, yeah, this is great, and then a couple of weeks later you don't remember much about it, so I don't think it's gonna make it. But there's not a lot of nature stuff in here, so I think for that reason Raising Her is gonna make it, because it's the other like nature adjacent book. I'm hoping Sister-in-Law makes it. We will see about that. And then I don't think By the Fire We Carry is gonna make it, although I could see that. But the reason I don't think it's gonna make it is because I think Tracker is gonna make it, because Alexis Wright is a very well-known writer, and it's about native people, both of them, and so I think probably Tracker is the more standout of them, and that's why I think it's gonna make it. So if we take that into account, I think my list is Sister-in-Law, The Story of a Heart, Raising Her, Why Fish Don't Exist, Private Revolutions, and Tracker. And I am aware that I didn't include any of the ones I'm not interested in, which probably is not gonna be the case. I think actually The Story of a Heart or Sister-in-Law are probably the ones that I'm the most hesitant about, and this list is very history heavy, and I haven't included much of history in this. Like Why Fish Don't Exist has a little bit of history in it, but other than that, not that much. So maybe one of those two would be replaced by something like Agenso, or I think it was Ember of the Huns, the one about the Vikings. I think that one sounds like the more appealing one from the two like proper history books out there, so maybe that one will make it, and then I'll have to read it. But yeah, that is my prediction. Let's say Sister-in-Law, The Story of a Heart, Raising Her, Why Fish Don't Exist, Private Revolutions, and Tracker. So let's hope. We will see. I will react to the shortlist and see. We can both see how I'm completely wrong and move on. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's very long, so thank you for sticking around if you did, and until next video, bye.